the case of employee, there's only one seller. Because there's only one seller, so instead of all employee, there's a lot. Only the power is so I'm quickly talk about the power of monopoly. Now the power comes from the government franchise. The piece of government franchise so that's why you have monopoly, just like so the government offer a license, so only the casino can operate. Okay, so another source of power is economies of scale. So this we have done last week. For certain industry, there's a significant economies of scale. As such, you only see one or two big firms operating. The other source of power, of course, is patent copyrights. Give rise to a monopoly. Now, if you are a monopolist, then how much will you produce? To maximize profit, profit is revenue minus cost. The total revenue is a function of Q, how much the firm produces, and the total cost also a function of Q. So if you are a monopolist and you are trying to decide how much to produce, then you need buy only Q. Okay, so you need buy only Q and you set to 0. So that will give you the optimal Q to maximize profit. Okay. So now you differentiate revenue with respect to Q. This by definition is called marginal revenue. And if you differentiate total cost with respect to Q, now this by definition is called marginal cost. So that's why we know that to maximize profit, the monopolist will produce until MI to MC. So if you are talking about what quantity to produce to maximize profit, they will produce until MI to MC. Okay, any question? So that will be the profit maximizing output. Now, of course, if we are talking about what price to sell, then you DQ over DP. Alright. Okay, so first we have an example here to find out how much the monopolist will produce. Now here you have a monopolist, the demand function is this. Okay, so before I go further, what do we need to solve this problem? Okay, for sure we need marginal revenue and marginal cost, right? So, how to find MR? Now, most importantly is this demand curve a straight line? Is this a straight line? If it's a straight line, then the MR is the same line except 2 times steeper. Right? So the question now is this a straight line? Yes or no? Now, to find out whether it's a straight line or not very simple, right? First, the demand curve is always shown this way, downward sloping. Right, so we have to, okay, this one is a monopoly. Now, the demand curve is always postulated in this way. So that's the demand curve. So we have to rearrange the equation to this. Right, so P versus Q. Now if we rearrange the equation, you can see that the demand function is this one. Is this a straight line? If it's a straight line, then MY is twice as defined. Is this a straight line? Solve for P equal to now is this a straight line? All right. You can see this one is a curve. Alright, so we cannot go and say MY is the same line for 2 times the curve. Yeah, because if the demand function is the curve, the MR will be converging. Understand? So you cannot use this formula anymore. Okay, so the only way to solve this now is use the formula. Alright, so if it's a curve, then use the formula. Now, so since total revenue is price times quantity, and as you can see, P is constrained with this. Right. So therefore, P times Q, total revenue. So P, the constraint must follow, is equal to this. Okay, so there's a P. So you take your P times Q, get your total revenue. And therefore, marginal revenue is, you differentiate this with respect to Q, you get this. Now, if you cannot tell whether it's a straight line or not, then you always use this one. Understand? This is the safest. Because this will work for every case. Or straight line, crooked line. So, therefore, the marginal revenue is this. And now we have to find out how much the monopolies produce. We know that to maximize profit, they will produce until MY to MC. Now the MY is this, marginal cost is given. Right, so we set MY to MC. Setting MY to MC, therefore, you solve, you will get your Q. So your Q will be 400. Okay. So Q will be 400. That's also, that's how you find the optimal quantity. Okay, any question? Now, does a monopolist always use the produce until MI to MC? Now, by right, they should produce until MI to MC. As I said before, not necessary. Because the monopolist might use a strategy to ward off competition. And one way is to do so is to purposely sell below the profit maximizing price. Remember, we talked about limit pricing. Now, by right, the monopoly should sell at produce with MI equal MC, this is the output. Now, what price should they sell? If you go to the demand curve, by right, they should sell at PM run. But we said before, sometimes they don't do that. If there are new entrants, they will purposely sell below the price where MI equal MC. So, that means they use limit pricing. Limit pricing means purposely sell below the profit maximizing price. So this is to discourage new entry. Any new firms coming, there will be losses. Now, second, a monopolist definitely will not use the MI equal MC rule if they are operating in a what? Contestable market. Now, if they are operating in a contestable market, it's not possible to use MI over MC. What kind of market is this? A perfectly contestable market is one where the new entrance faces the same set of production technique and market demand. That means the new entrance has the same technology, same cost. Now, if you come across a potential entrance at the similar cost, if not lower, then I don't think you can use underpricing. Now, the reason why is because if they have the same cost advantage as you, unless you purposely sell below cost. So when StarHub comes in, MI comes in, Singtel cannot do very much. Because while these are not new players, they are all new entrants in Singapore, but elsewhere they have been around for a very long time. I'm sure their cost, their technology is equivalent. Right, so these are what we call contestable market, where the potential entrants have more or less the same advantage. Now, entry is absolutely free. There are no extra costs to come in. So what happens is that in a contestable market, the new entrants can establish itself before the monopolist can lower its price. In other words, shipping company, air transport, shipping air cargo, shipping company, shipping freight. Now in this kind of market, even though you can be a monopolist in Singapore, NOL is the main monopolist in the shipping industry. Now, I don't think they really dare to set very high price, because any other shipping company, like Lloyd, if the market price is too high, so there are many other shipping companies like COSCO, Lloyd, London, you can always come in here and do the shipping for you, right? They move into the market, since the price is so high, they make a profit. Now once NOL start lower price, they will move up again, if it's not profitable. All of them, all these shipping companies share more or less the same fixed cost, right? To them, it's the same thing. So if you're operating in a contestable market like air transport, any firm can just come in and do the shipping for you at the price. So once the entrance get established, before the incumbent responds. So once the incumbent, the monopolist responds, they can always move up again. Right now, should the climate grow cost down? Once the incumbents start to lower price, they move up again. That means in a contestable market, I don't think the monopolist can actually set the price for MI per MC. They cannot observe the MI per MC, right? Because it's subject to new entrants coming in and moving out anytime. Okay, what's the competition? Okay, before I look at monopoly competition, so maybe I just do a few simple questions on the monopoly first. I look at the tutorial question number 3. Okay, first in this problem, you have a monopoly's cost function is this. Now the demand function Q is given as this. Find the deadweight loss. Okay, so this one very straightforward. Now, as you recall, the demand curve is this way. Okay, so this is our standard demand function. So this is a direct demand curve. Quantity demanded equals this. Right. So I think by now you should know. When we solve mathematics, do we use a direct demand curve? All the time, no. We use not this way. We use an inverse demand function. That means the main root model of the name. It simply means we write the demand curve in this way. This versus what? This. Because on the graph is this way, right? So you rearrange the equation to this. Okay? so-called inverse demand function, inverse supply function, that's one. Because the graph of the demand function is this. And so therefore, the P is this. So that's the equation of this blue color line. Now why you have to rearrange this? Because if you want to use, I think you can see for yourself, is this a straight line? Is this a straight line? The demand curve. You cannot say no because I show you on the graph it's a straight line. And of course it's a straight line. How can it's not a straight line? Exactly the same as this. Except the gradient here is what? That's all. Okay, any question? Okay, so very simple then. Once you found the M now, you can now find the derivative loss. Now you can recall where's the derivative loss. I don't know whether you can still remember. Now if this is a perfect competition, a perfectly competitive industry will produce a demand. Supply equal demand. But where's the supply curve? If this is a perfectly competitive industry, this one is a supply curve. Remember? So they will produce a good supply equal demand here. This quantity. Now, but if the industry is monopolized, one firm operate, then monopolies, of course, will not be stupid to produce an area, right? Why not? Because they want to maximize profit. And so if you want to maximize profit, then they produce at the MI currency. So they will purposely underproduce. So underproduce by how much? This amount. So in a monopolies, they are underproduced by this amount. So this is called day rate loss. Right. Now why they are called day rate loss? By underproducing, why is this the day rate loss? As I said before, from the diagram, now if it's perfect competition, the marginal cost curve is the supply curve. Right. So perfect competitive equilibrium will be here. Now, this one I just show you. The monopolies won't produce here. The monopolies will purposely produce that. Right. Now, which also means therefore, here to here was not produced. Now, if it's not produced, all this quantity are gone. So what's the big loss? What kind of loss is after? You can see the loss is because they're not produced. For example, why we call this a loss? Because if this unit was produced, the cost to produce it is here. Okay. You go to the MC curve. That give you the cost to produce this unit. Alright. Now, but for this unit, what price can you sell it for? this unit. How much you can sell depends on how much people are willing to pay, right? You can see that for this unit, if you go to the demand curve, consumers are willing to pay this. Okay. But price is equal to what? Benefits. The price represents the benefits. Why? See, if you are willing to pay $1 for this water, why are you willing to pay $1? If you are willing to pay $1 for this bottle of water, that means you think this water give you $1 of benefits. If this bottle of water give you 20 cents of benefits, will you pay? No. No way. Right. So if you are willing to pay up to $1, that means you must have perceived that this water give you $1 of benefits. That's why price and benefits are the same thing. Some textbooks call this price, some textbooks call this benefits. But it's the benefits you derive from what? Only from this unit, right? From this unit, right? So you must call what?